Hello, Sunday school families and also teachers. If you're having the opportunity to view this, I pray God's richest blessings upon you as we take another look at the text, the story that we're going to be covering on January 24th, entitled Twin Troubles, looking at the twins of Jacob and Esau. And this story, again, as Old Testament stories that continue to show that the people of God, even those who are often considered the fathers and heroes of the faith, were as fallen and broken as all of us. The text comes from Genesis chapter 25 and 27, and it's a story that for you might be somewhat familiar in the context of a world that we can still sort of appreciate today, where the wealth and the rights of the family always went as looking to the next generation, to the oldest child, specifically here, the oldest male. And understanding that God's ways are not our ways. We saw in the story of Abraham and Sarah that they struggled to believe this promise of God that a child would be born to them in old age, and in so doing, in their struggle, they took matters into their own hands. And Abraham had a child with Hagar. And again, not according to God's plan or God's will, but yet God continued to work his plan of salvation through that, and we see that here. So the promise is intended for Jacob. However, as twins, we know only one technically comes out at a time. So here in this situation, Esau came out first, and so therefore he was technically the older child. And so in Isaac's mind, then his intention was to give the blessing, the birthright, to Esau. Rebekah understood and believed that the promise actually would go to Jacob, and so Rebekah then, in league with Jacob himself, would conceive to pull the wool over his father's eyes. So Isaac knows he's approaching death, and he wants to bestow this blessing upon his son in a sort of a ceremonial meal, and he asks Esau to go out and prepare this meal. In the meantime, Rebekah and Jacob conspire to prepare a meal, and because Isaac can't see well, Jacob makes himself to feel like and portray himself as Esau, and in so receive this birthright deceptively. And so that's the kind of the context of this. As far as looking at lessons for us today, and for you parents and families at home, as you continue to look at this on the off week when Sunday school doesn't meet, some things to think about. One, the dynamics of family and how children have been fighting and struggling with each other from the very beginning. That oftentimes is in the case of Esau and his father, that sometimes the demands of the day, a hungry stomach, will cause us to do things that are against God's will. Again, also this idea, our struggle for all of us to trust God and to always seek to follow his will rather than do things that we know are wrong, thinking that we're trying to achieve a goal, right? The ends never justifies the means. But at the same point, I think it's important for us to know that God's ways are not our ways, and that ultimately we can rejoice that God is the one that's responsible for our salvation. We all fall short according to his standards, and we can thank God that receiving his blessing, the Heavenly Father, is not dependent upon our human nature or our accomplishments, but they are a achieved and given to us by God himself. Because Christ was the one who was our substitute. It paid the price for our moral failings, for those times that we sinfully take matters into our own hands. And it's because of Christ that we are blessed. And so we receive his blessings today through a meal, even now, the meal of his very supper of his body and blood. We can rejoice in that. For you teachers, I want to thank you for your continued service to the church and proclaiming this good news to the children of our congregation. For you parents, I thank you for your honest and taking the responsibility for this task that God has given you of teaching your children this love of God, of teaching them and bringing them up in the faith and knowledge of Jesus Christ, who loved them and died for them. I know that God will continue to bless you as he does all of us in spite of our own failings. Have a fantastic day. Also, real quickly, please, if you have ideas of your own, if you have questions, if you have things you'd like to share that has worked well for you, I would love to hear them. You can call me, text me, email me, catch me before or after church. I would love to hear from you and answer any questions that you might have that maybe other families or teachers are having as well. Again, have a fantastic day.